As leaders, we need to control our controllables.
Yeah, the average manager goes 10 years before they actually get management training. Language is key to culture.
You as a manager need to know what your people are because you have to communicate to them, not to yourselves. I want to be valuable to the credit union as a whole. I want to make it dank hard to replace me.
You're listening to the Credit Union Leadership Podcast, a podcast that delivers value and offers up insight that'll help your credit union grow. ServiStar has been consulting with credit unions for over 20 years, growing them in the areas of cultural development, leadership development, and management training. To learn more about what ServiStar can do for you or your credit union, check them out at ServiStarConsulting.com.
Welcome to the Credit Union Leadership Podcast. You've got Scott, and
we talked to our good friend today. She was part of our Emerging Leaders program, and we say that leaders aren't born, they are made, and we help to make a leader, my friend. Scott Anderle, who did we talk to today?
That's a better question for you. I know her first name's Melanie, and she's been working with you in the Emerging Leaders program, not me, right?
That's right. Yeah. So Melanie Henson actually comes to us from AmFirst, and they're out of Alabama, and she is a loan manager. She just got promoted to loan manager this past April, and it was a perfect time for her to get enrolled in September's course of Emerging Leader Academy. We had her for 5 different topics: leadership hacks for managing former peers, coaching for performance, effective mentorship, and leading the change. And I got to lead 4 of those, but you got to lead 1 of those, Mr.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, she was, with coaching. So the question I have for you, Albrecht, why Melanie? What stood out to you that made you say, we need to get her on this podcast because she can help inspire current and aspiring leaders?
She sent me an email and she said, in short order, "You're the coolest guy since sliced bread. I think, everyone should know how cool you are." And I just thought, well, there's one way to get that done. Let's get her on the podcast. And so she was ranting and raving about our programming. And I thought, you know what? I think other people might like to hear about that. And so that's really what got her on the podcast. Is she really had a good understanding of our material, good competency and confidence in taking it out of the classroom and moving into the real world. And I wanted that to come through on the Credit Union Leadership Podcast.
Man, and it definitely did. I would say consistency and drive are things that would describe her, or proactiveness. So listeners, as you listen to this episode, things to pay attention to. And actually, this one just popped up as you were saying this, talking about how she got promoted and then how she has now been promoted for a while using the skills from emerging leaders. I think that's a big conversation. Hearing how that's encouraged her leadership, it's helped her build a better team that's actually performing better and less drama going on. That's a big takeaway. Also, some other elements to listen for. She talks about this idea of not well, make well. I don't want to dive into it. I want you to hear what she has to say. And we talk about bugs.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, and we talk about what we like about ants. We talk about what we like about ladybugs or praying mantis. So get ready for that. And then the last thing, you got to fill in this blank. Do not tell yourself blank. Not tell yourself blank. And how this has really Jetstream catapulted her leadership journey and personal life. So guys, buckle up, get ready. We're bringing on
Melanie, and this is the Credit Union Leadership Podcast.
See ya.
Welcome to the Credit Union Leadership Podcast. It's the Scott and Scott team. And you know what? Leaders are not born, they're made. And this leader made my day when she shared with me that she self-elected to go to our Emerging Leader Academy. Scott Anderle, Melanie joins us from AmFirst today, and we get to talk about her experience as an emerging leader, bursting out of her comfort zone, and all the things that led to her self-electing to take our class. Isn't this great? So, Melanie, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you at in the world of worlds? And then what credit union do you work for? And then what do you do at that credit union?
I am in Birmingham, Alabama, and I work at, our nickname is AmFirst, but it's really America's First Federal Credit Union. And I am the newly elected since April manager of our consumer lending department. So my team handles all of the online applications, anybody that applies for a loan online throughout the whole credit union. And we do anywhere to $5 to $7 million a month in consumer loans. So
Consumer loans or consumers being happy with a better rate and service with your credit
yes.
union. Tell me more about some of the members that you get to help at your credit union. What's your membership makeup? Are they employees of a company that you serve? Are they community members? Tell me a little bit more about your membership makeup.
We're community chartered. I don't know how familiar you are with Birmingham, but it's kind of the central of the state, and we have all of the counties around central Alabama. So we, I think we have 21 branches, and each
Wow.
branch is basically in its own county. There's some that have multiple, but we pretty much service all of central Alabama, but we have some outliers like Talladega, Mobile, Coleman. So there's some that we're trying to stretch out for the whole
Yeah.
state, but we're not there yet.
21 branches, that's a lot. And
Yeah.
Talladega, my first thought is Talladega Nights.
Yes.
So
Same place.
yeah, it is. Okay. A question I had is, before we started this recording, I really connected with you on this idea of, it sounds like you're someone who's a goal setter, a go-getter, proactive, which I definitely believe is something we need more of in this movement. And I'm excited for people to hear your perspective on things. But my question is, all right, you're at AmFirst. How long have you been at AmFirst?
I started as a teller in 2012 when I was hadn't graduated from Troy. I went to Troy University.
Okay. Yeah.
I hadn't graduated yet, and so I just kind of started here thinking it would be my like placeholder until I graduated and did the real thing that I wanted to do.
What were you
And
majoring in?
business administration and marketing, kind of like
Okay.
a double. And I'll tell you, this is slightly embarrassing, but I applied about 6 months in after I graduated. I applied within the credit union for a marketing job, thinking like, oh, this is it. I'll just stay here and do what I want to do. And I did not get it.
No.
And I then stayed with the company. And in 2017, I transferred back office to our the consumer lending department. And then I became the team leader of that department, I think in 2021-ish, and then was promoted to the manager this year. So
Wow. So in your story, there's consistency along with this proactive spirit. And it sounds like around the time you got promoted into leadership was also around the time you started setting some goals for yourself. You're talking about how there was some stuff going on in your personal life that encouraged you to get out of your comfort zone. Share as much as you want to share, but I'm really, really intrigued about that. And I'm also intrigued at the fact that this is around the same time in your professional career that you've stepped up into leadership. So I'm curious to see the commonalities, how those relate.
I mean, basically, it was just a pretty disastrous and traumatic relationship failure. But it did kind of, like you said, Kat, I kind of threw everything into, if that side of my world is not going to be well, I'm going to make this side well. And it started out being financial stability. Like I want to be able to take care of me as things have imploded. Like that was my biggest thing, was to have stability, like to be able to take care of myself. And that was kind of like a big step for me. Really the team leader position has happened at the same time, and that kind of gave me the, oh my gosh, I can do this. Like I don't need, like I can have my own house and my own car, and I don't need another person.
You can take life by the horns and tell it where to go.
Right. And so then I just
getting
focused.
promoted at that time was like, if I'm hearing you correctly, was kind of this life-giving, calling out the potential in you that you did not see in yourself before. Is that what you're saying? So tell me about that. Like you said, all right, I got this job as a leader, and you started realizing, you know what, I can be Albrecht, something you say a lot is, as leaders, we need to control our controllables. And that's what I'm hearing Melanie say I need to control my controllables. And you're saying, hey, there's some stuff in my life that's not well. Let me focus on what I can make well.
Mm.
But it sounds like you getting in this leadership position, like really broadened your horizons, opened your eyes. Was there a leader? Was there a specific moment? Was there something that happened that made you say, wait, I can do this myself?
Yeah, kind of in between the team leader and the I found out we do our reviews every year kind of in March. And I'm going to be honest with you, I was hoping for the manager spot, but in my mind, that was like 5 years down. Like
Mm,
I thought I was going to be in that team leader role for a while. Like this is a very large credit union. You don't get promoted like that very frequently, you know. I mean, there's more.
for our listeners, when you say large, how big is the commercial lending team right now that you're in charge of?
Well, my team is 5 people,
Okay.
but like I said, we do about 7 million a month, and that's not commercial, that's not real estate. That's just your normal auto loans.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's each
That's
one of
pretty
my
big.
team looks at almost 200 applications a month. So it's a lot of people, a lot of volume.
Yeah. All right.
Um,
Sorry to segue. Yeah. Go back to what you said. So you thought it'd be 5 years out, big
Right. I
credit
mean, I
union.
thought this was going to be like a thing I was working towards, and I was willing to do that. And my manager, who's basically my mentor, brought me in at our review in March, and he kind of went through the whole review thing. I marked you this and exceeds on this. And I'm like, okay. And then he gets to the end and tells me, like, increase or whatever. And I just kind of looked funny, like, well, that's odd. That's not normal for like your everyday, just, you know, performance yearly thing. And he just gave me a sticky note and it said, "You're the new manager." And I said, "I'm
Holy
sorry.
cow.
I'm sorry, what?" And he was like, "Yeah, congrats, you're the new manager as of tomorrow." And I was like, I just stared at him and he said, are you okay?" And I need a second to process. What do you mean? Like right now? And he just looked at me dead serious and said, "Well, you've been doing the job for 2 years, so might as well just go ahead and give it to you." And I was like, "Okay, thank you very much."
Wow. So I have two questions. One is, when he said, "Hey, you've been doing this for 2 years, might as well give the job to you." Was there someone in that role and this was like a surprise, or was it that they created this role?
So my manager now was the manager of our whole department. And so now now I'm his only employee, and all of the team I was on is my employees now.
You're his extension,
Yeah.
making it happen. You know, Albrecht, there's something Melanie said, and I'm sure you've talked about this like in leadership hacks and what we talk about emerging leaders. What is that stat? You said most people go through a formal leadership training, and how long is it again that you talk
I
about,
think he
Albrecht?
said 10 years, right?
Yeah, the average manager goes 10 years before they actually get management training.
Wow, Melanie even knew it. So, and then from that, I remember Mike, the founder of ServiStar, he always talks about how our industry, what we do is, hey, you've been here so long, you know, all the operational tasks. Let's just give you the keys and have you lead the team, and just hope nothing bad happens. And it sounds there was a little similarity of that happening to you, but also this was something that called out a lot of goodness for you. So my question is, between you starting tomorrow from that to taking something like emerging leaders, how has this upskilled you? How has this made you better at your job? Because your job has significantly changed. It's not about you looking at all of the applications. Now you're managing the people looking at the applications. And
Mhm.
I'm sure the stuff Albrecht talked about with building trust and leadership hacks and coaching and all that stuff was very applicable. So I want to hear the before and after of, all right, you start off with only a day's notice, and then now you're going through emerging leaders.
It was very good timing, I guess is the word. Because like I started in April, and as we talked about, these were I worked on this team with these people for 5 years. And so they're like my friends.
Oh.
And so the hardest part, it was basically the stuff that he talked about day one about setting your boundaries. And I didn't even know what those boundaries were. Like I had to think about and write them down and actually think about what they were before I could even communicate to them.
Mhm.
This was this was coworker friend Melanie. I'm not coworker friend Melanie anymore. Like we can still jive, but I can't be the person that you're gossiping to or talking about someone that like we've got to have a different role now. And so that really helped me having somebody talk through those examples. And then we did our breakout rooms and each other talked about those things. My favorite section was the one on managing former peers because I feel
Yeah.
like is still my biggest thing because these people, like some of them have been in the department longer than me. Like I I don't want to say jumped them, but some of them have more
Mhm.
experience than I do. So it's even more difficult, you know, to now manage someone that may or may not have trained you at one point. Like
Mm. You
it's
know,
sticky sometimes. And so
Albrecht, did you do building trust with this group that session?
Uh, I don't. We did
There's
managing
some.
former peers, coaching, effective mentorships, leading change, and leadership hacks. Actually, you did coaching for them,
yeah,
I guess I did.
yeah,
which
he
Yeah.
did
yeah,
coaching.
yeah,
Yeah.
which talks a
Um,
lot about the importance of building trust by setting
Mhm.
expectations, etc. So not directly, but indirectly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I asked because one of the things you had touched on with managing former peers, and you had just said some of these people know the operations better than me.
Mhm.
And something I want our listeners to hear is we need to be competent in our operations and know how to do it, but it is okay if someone is better at it than us and to use them and get their input on stuff. But part of the reason why you got promoted, and I want our listeners to hear this too, I'm about to get my Liam Neeson on. You have a particular set of skills. And it's learning how to work with people, navigating the emotions, and pointing people towards the mission of how can we do this better, thinking strategically, having the coaching, the difficult conversations, whether it's managing former peers or coaching people that are not performing well. And actually, I want to tap into this managing former peers. You had specifically said, Albrecht, if you remember this, I'd love to hear some of this stuff. But Melanie, you were saying Albrecht was giving some examples of setting boundaries that got you thinking because you said I didn't have boundary. I like don't have it written down. I don't have something to say this. Hey, this is what I can't do. This is what I can do for my team. And it basically gave you like a mental homework assignment of what you needed to do. Could you share that process with us of how long did it take? How intensive was it? Was it just something like I'm thinking about it during my car drive? Was it, hey, I pulled out a notebook, wrote some stuff down? How did you set those boundaries?
Yeah, I did write some stuff down. I kind of basically used I don't want to say like my current manager and I are totally different and we do things totally different ways. Our group talked about this and you're gonna think this is funny. Scott thought it was very funny. Credit unions have like animals that they assign to people's personality types. One of the other groups were like eagles and things. I didn't understand that one. Ours are bugs, and everybody at the credit union knows what kind of bug they are, and that is your communication style. So,
Bugs
yes, bugs. So, like if
like
you're
cockroach?
yeah. So if you're a ant, you are a type A person that's like short, direct, to the
Okay.
point. You're going to get a yes or no answer. You're not going to get details. My boss is an ant through and through. I am a grasshopper, which is someone.
I need to get that as a snippet. I am a grasshopper. My boss is an ant.
Okay,
All right,
so
so grasshopper jumping between a bunch of tasks. You can do a little bit of everything.
kind of. So, okay, it's an ant, a ladybug. Your ladybug is your people. Like you're I focus on the friendships. Like I need the people of it. Your caterpillars are the slow people that take forever to do a task and they need all the details. Grasshopper, me, is a hybrid between the caterpillar and the ladybugs. So you're the people that equally need the relationships and the work. Like
Okay.
I'm very detailed and organized, but I'm going to step out of my office and talk to people. I'm not going to be shut up in there all day long. So I had to figure out on my boundaries, like what made that professional. Cause like my boss, he's going to stick in his office. And if you need him, you come to him. He's like, if you don't need
Yeah.
me, I shouldn't see you. They all know I'm the opposite of that, but I also don't need you in my office 20,000 times a day. Like I kind of had to think through what was going to be professional, but also still me and the camaraderie I wanted to keep with them. Like I don't want to be unapproachable and distant. I still want you to be able to come to me, but I want you to try to figure it out first, like use the resources that you have. So that was one of my things. Like before you come and ask me something, I'm going to ask you questions like, did you look here? Did you look at this? Did you look at that? Like, I'm going to expect you to try to figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
Because if I hold your hand, you're never going to grow on your own. And I want to do to them what Alex did to me. Like I want them to grow.
That's the ant of your grasshopper. Or did you say the grasshopper's half caterpillar and half ladybug?
Half caterpillar, half ladybug.
Okay.
It's so
Albrecht,
dumb.
do you know what bug you are, Albrecht? Have you thought about this?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Gotta be a ladybug.
I am a praying mantis.
Oh, breaking the rules. Breaking the rules. That is, I know you say it's so dumb, but also it sticks. And Albrecht, what's the biggest thing you say? Because you teach Gallup Strengths Finder, developing a leadership brand. And the big thing you say when it comes to like culture or finding a Strengths Finder, what is that again?
Yeah, use the one that works. So the one that everyone can make as a common language, where I can walk into a room and say, "Are you ladybugging right now?" And some people are like, "Oh yeah, you got me. I'm totally ladybugging right now." I was like, "All right, well, let's let these grasshoppers get back to work, okay?" And, so it becomes a language, and so language is key to culture. And if I can say one word and it means like a whole chapter, it saves words, it saves times, and it creates more lean and efficient cultures.
What do you know the
Creates
name of
like
that? Or yeah, keep going.
I don't know, but it creates like communication styles. Like you as a manager need to know what your people are, because if I've got nothing but ants on my team, I can't send them an email that's this long. They're going to stop reading. Like you have to communicate to them, not to yourself. So like I need it to be as short and concise as possible or they're going to tune me out. So
Oh,
it helps you figure out how to communicate come to them, not the other way around.
I want to tie that in this bug culture is what I'm going to call it, bug culture with managing former peers. Because what you had said that was a big thing was this idea of setting boundaries, and it sounds like it was something that you actually spent time sitting down thinking about this. So, first question, so it helps with the discussion. What was it? What's an example of a boundary? What was something that you created that you had mentioned gossip? Is that one that you clearly communicated to them, or was there something else?
It was more like we taught, and we kind of talked about this in our class too. Like my team was really, a lot of us are more friends than the others. Some are kind of more reserved. So some of us would go out to eat after work, or, had group chats outside of work. And I basically was like, hey guys, like one of my boundaries was if we go out, we're all going together or I'm not gonna go. Like I don't want to show any
Favoritism.
bias to anybody. I'm not gonna be a part of 10 different side
Yeah.
text groups. Like we have one with everybody, but like I don't. And of course, like if you need to call in sick or something, message me directly, not the whole group. But I don't need separate group chats with different employees.
Yeah.
Like that, it just doesn't create a good culture.
Yeah, and that is exactly what we teach. Man, really, really good stuff. I want to come back to this, but we're going to take a quick break and listen to an ad from our sponsors to see what's going on.
ServiStar offers research-based credit union-specific training solutions that have worked for top-performing credit unions for the last 25 years. Using breakout groups, role-playing, and case studies, our Coaching for Performance workshop series quickly transforms managers' skills from managing into skills that help coach and build more dynamic team members and leaders. You see, coaching is all about improving somebody to their highest level of performance, to their highest potential. Coaching is all about growth and development. And each session will provide managers the knowledge and the confidence to know what to do to be effective performance coaches. We look forward to seeing you at ServiStar Consulting's upcoming Coaching for Performance workshops. You can check those out at servistarconsulting.com/events.
All right, let's get back to it. And now I want to hear, all right, you've created this set expectation of what it's going to look like of you leading some of your former peers that you've worked with for 5 years. And now let's bring this bug culture in it. Like you had talked about how your boss is an ant, you're a grasshopper. Let's think about, all right, what are the personalities on your team and how did you communicate this? Was this like a, hey, everybody, I've got something to say to the whole team? Was it in sit downs? Was it through emails? And based on that, how did you communicate that for it to best land with their buggy style?
Kind of had one-on-one conversations with most of them. I felt like if I had a group meeting that everybody would not take it the same way because I have certain personalities that need a little bit more
Ladybug?
yeah, and so I felt like one-on-one style would be the best. So I just kind of had a meeting with my people, not really very formal, just circumstantially. If something came up, hey, can I talk to you about something? Like I didn't make it very formal, but I wanted to just make sure they knew why I was making certain decisions and or why I backed away from certain situations.
So what I'm hearing you say, and I think this is something that I'm learning about you, you're very intentional with your time. So it wasn't like intentional of, hey, this needs to be a formal sit down kind of cold. You're still bringing in the warm personality that's in your grasshopper of just, oh, we've got a few like 30 seconds or 5 minutes here. I'm going to make sure to communicate this so they understand my intention. It's taking, Albrecht, what do you say? Is it working the margins that you say?
Yeah, I would say I'm talking to a fellow grasshopper right now, Mr. Scott Anderley. Would you declare yourself as a grasshopper, my friend?
I need to learn more about this caterpillar.
Okay.
Melanie, how would you describe a caterpillar?
The caterpillar is like they're your people that are very, very task oriented, but they're going to ask you 100 million questions and they need to know every single detail before they can get the work done. But when it gets done, it's going to be right and done well. But they need the deets.
I'm definitely not a caterpillar, but maybe a grasshopper where I'm a little bit caterpillar.
That's how I am. A little bit of both.
I emailed Albrecht a bunch of questions about you right before we got on. So that might be, but I think I could relate to that. Yeah. Either that or an ant. I guess it depends how crazy I am in the moment. I want to pivot, but before I do, Albrecht, was there anything you wanted to ask about emerging leaders about this stuff?
I wanted to add, this episode sponsored by Disney's A Bug's Life, and they're taking down that exhibit.
That's what I was thinking when you were talking about ladybugs. Yeah, because I was like, that ladybug's not as friendly. But
that's right.
Yeah, that ladybug's not as friendly.
Yeah. You thought every ladybug was a girl? All right. So something I want to tap into, and it'll be fascinating to hear Albrecht's perception of what you brought to the group. But I really, really believe this is going to help a lot of our leaders that are listening, is I want to hear more about this. The past 3 years, you had talked about this idea of, hey, something crazy happened in life. And you said, hey, I want to, there's some things not going well. I want to focus on making things well. And it sounds like a big element of that was, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like goal setting. It sounds like you said, these are specific things I'm going to do this year and let's go do it. To make sure I'm not putting things on you, like, am I right in thinking that? What actually happened with you saying, well, first, tell everyone what were the crazy things you did. Was it 2023 where you 3 times? And tell everyone what you did that year real quick, just so they have an idea.
I started off the year with 3 Taylor Swift concerts in 3 different states. I went to Atlanta, and I'm in Birmingham, remember? So all
Yeah.
these are traveling. Atlanta, Nashville, and Miami.
Oh, you
And
went to the Nashville one. I
yes,
love it, Nashville. We Airbnb. Okay. Yep. Keep going.
I also went to the Morgan Wallen one
In
back to
Nashville?
back. No, unfortunately, the one at Ole Miss that got canceled after we were already there. We were in
Oh,
the stands, like
oh,
getting,
literally, you're there.
yes, like it got canceled like after the first people had already performed.
That sounds like a promoter's nightmare,
It
and I
was
can't wait to
terrible.
see a Netflix biopic
It
movie
was
on why
terrible.
this.
We drove 4 hours to stand there and go home. It was
Oh,
terrible. Anywho, and
yeah.
then I got a tattoo in commemoration to the life event, and I went on a trip to Iceland, London, and Scotland for like 10 days.
Wow. All this in 1 year, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
this is the year after you had became a team lead, or were you already a manager of consumer?
Same year that happened so that was another like thing that happened. Like that whole year was like boom, 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 boom. Things
Yeah.
were just wild.
Your life was an adventure, and I bet
Yes.
because of that, there might have been elements out of control. But what I want to focus on was there must have been something like this feeling of empowerment, like I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Like I didn't think this was possible to go to 3 countries and see Taylor Swift 3 times in the same year. So, and we know the why behind it. I want to hear how. How did you make this happen? Was it like you said, I'm doing all these things? Like a New Year's resolution, or was it you were taking it in bite-sized chunks? You're like, you know what, I'm gonna go see Taylor Swift. You know what, I'm gonna go to Iceland. You know what, I'm gonna go see
Yeah,
Taylor Swift. Like, how did that work?
kinda. I just told myself I was not going to tell myself no to anything reasonable that was not gonna put me in a financial bind. So if I could afford it, I said yes. But I mean, that wasn't gonna happen, forever. But I
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
giving myself the space to just go, just do things. And
yeah,
so it was great. And 2024 was more focused on like here in
yeah,
I
yeah.
wanted to.
Going back to 2023 real quick, because you said not telling yourself no
Mhm.
if it was within the realm of reason. So was this you had friends come up to you or family saying, "Hey, let's go do this," and you were like, "Well, it's not without the realm of reason," or were you the one who was proactive in making these things happen? Like how did some of these adventures start?
All of them, I was asked to go by someone else. I
Okay.
did not initiate any of it, except
Wow,
for
that's awesome.
the team leader thing, but I didn't ask for that either. I was
Yeah.
given that. But
This is fascinating because what I'm thinking is applying this to leadership and thinking about, all right, what I'm hearing is, well, maybe it's not being proactive, but it might be this idea of, hey, if someone asks for help, or hey, I think you'd be great on this project, or hey, we're doing a mentorship program and we want you to be a part of it or get your insight. Not saying no within the realm of reason. If it's not impeding on my priority work, saying yes to these things, and what could the possibility be for the impact I make at my credit union, for my community, and maybe even for your personal career. As I'm saying that, is there anything within your professional career at the credit union at AmFirst where you're like, hey, you know what, I was doing that same idea with my career?
yes, I kind of do also take that same approach here. I feel like in the earlier days, I was a little bit more give me everything, and I would pile up and just kind of, not say no because I didn't want to make anyone mad. I was like avoiding having to tell somebody no. But now it's more of a like, I know the more I know and the more I can learn, the more valuable I am to this credit union because I'm not, naive enough to think that everybody can't be replaced. But at least if I do everything I can like I want to make it dank hard to replace me, basically. Like I want to be valuable to the credit union as a whole. So I would say definitely any opportunity that you are given and or go ask for them, the more you do, the better you're going to set yourself up to just be a better employee all around.
Yeah. Man, I feel like that's the episode title right there. How to make it
Yeah.
impossible to replace you, or
Yes.
That's
make
right.
it
You
impossible.
can't go to the grasshopper store, just get a new grasshopper. You need this grasshopper. I'm the greenest, biggest,
Yeah.
meanest grasshopper you got.
Yeah. Yeah. Albrecht, as she's saying this stuff, what's going through your mind right now?
Oh, I embrace the never turn down an invitation that doesn't, if it makes sense. It's how we got her on the podcast. I said, hey, we love that. She sent me an email, a very nice email, made my day. Said, hey, that was a cool thing that we just did. And I said, would you mind sharing that with the world on a podcast? And most people, when I ask questions like that, they say, I do mind, actually. That's kind of scary. But she's like, you know what? Let's go. I mean, this is it. I gave her an invitation. She's like, let's go. So if you want to, if you want to push the boundaries of comfort, Melanie, she's the grasshopper to look at as far as an example of what it looks like to keep on pushing that boundary.
Talking about pushing boundaries, and Melanie, this is what we talked about in coaching as well, is this idea of discomfort is a product of growth. We teach it more of, hey, as a leader, you're probably going to put your team through some discomfort and you're growing them. What's really cool from this story here is you're putting yourself through some discomfort. Like even being on this podcast, you said, oh, this is a little weird, but I told myself to do something uncomfortable, and you're growing. And as I'm saying this, what I'm processing is we want to be the ideal team player. We want our teammates to look at us and say, well, Melanie put herself through something a little uncomfortable that is going to make her better and is going to make her better for our movement. So when she's coaching me and saying, what am I going to do differently? Or when she's catching me doing it right, she's noticing the discomfort I may be going through as well. Did that, I don't want to say, and you'd be like, no. I was gonna be like, do you remember that part of talking about discomfort's a product of growth? Or maybe a better way to ask this is, how have you used this idea of discomfort is a product of growth, or maybe just understanding the concept to get your team through some hard moments? How has that looked in the consumer lending department for you?
That's kind of like an everyday thing for me. Side note, I have extreme anxiety, like not just funny kind, like,
Not just funny kind. Okay, yeah.
Then he laughs at it.
The
He's
clinical
like,
Sorry. Yeah, now I sound like a bully.
No,
Edit that out.
the clinical kind. You'll see me like, messing with my hands. I can't sit still. So anything, I try to push myself to not be so scared of things. And I want my team also to know, like, it's the business. We're going to lose money. I mean, that's just how it goes. We have guidelines in place. You're trained. You know what you're doing. The loan that you do is going to go bad. That's just the business that we're in. You can't be scared to approve somebody because it might go bad. Someone with excellent credit could lose their job and that loan go bad. So like, we're really big here on our risk portfolio, and we do a lot of loans that are scary, but our mission statement is to improve the lives of the members that in the communities that we serve. So in my goal for them is that if they're improving the lives of that member and they, feel good about it, put your name on it and I will sign with you. Like, we're not going to be scared to approve something that's going to help somebody in the long run within reason. Of course, we have our guidelines, but we have to take certain risks. We can't just approve 800 credit score people. That's not the credit union way,
It's not. Wow. That was powerful.
You
Sorry,
just can't
that
look for
went
the
off
Ricky
topic.
Bobbies of the world.
No, that's gold. Like, I think there's a lot for credit union people to learn from that. Yeah, honestly, it reminds me, Scott, of us talking strategic thinking, where we talk about to be a strategic thinker, you have to be okay with risk.
Mhm.
Yet, like the number one personality
Like
type we get,
calculated risk.
yeah, yes, calculator risk. Ramsey says that too. But in our industry, we attract a lot of those caterpillars where we're asking all these questions and it needs to follow this exact system, and we can't have wiggle room. And then, dare I say, we might be a little bank-like of saying no, yes, no, yes,
Mhm.
you don't meet this requirement. But what's great about the credit union movement is there's more art to it than just the science, where we get to feel things out of like, you know what? I love what you said is you even tied it back to your mission, which is using what we talk about in our training perfectly of behavior reflecting mission. And you're saying, all right, if this behavior reflects mission and you feel good about it, I trust you, I'll sign off on it, which is also speaks loads to delegation and trust and high performing teams. But I think there's a lot for people to learn there of, all right, how can we best live out our mission? How can I trust my team? And understanding, all right, and I love what you said, it's got to be calculated risk. It can't be just, you get a loan, you get a loan. No, 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 no. We're still
Right. We're
protecting
not
our
Oprah
members' money.
Winfrey.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's this idea of like, you're taking a risk. And, someone I listen to, Brandon Turner, what he says is when you take the risk, you need to ask yourself two questions. What is the best case scenario? What would you do? And then what's the worst case scenario and what would you do to get out of it? And if the worst case scenario, you can figure out how you would bounce back as a movement.
Mhm.
It's like, well, hey, delinquency, we do this, it would work out, and then be like, all right, let's give it a try. Now, if it's something that's terrible and it's like going to destroy everything, you're like, the reward might not be worth the risk in place there. Honestly, I think that's a really strong place to end. But I'm going to open it up first to Albrecht, and then Melanie, I have one more question for you. But Albrecht, what else?
Don't just look at the loan loss ratio, or you might lose your mission. You might lose your members and you might lose your employees' engagement. And so I do want to open it up to Melanie. I want to know, you got some credit union leaders in the movement right now, listening to this podcast right now. What say you? You get to give them advice. You're
Mhm.
sitting in your seat and they're sitting in theirs. What words of inspiration can you give them after going through a 5-part leadership series here at ServiStar Consulting?
Say definitely look into those opportunities. I'm glad that I asked for it. If you're a part of the league, they offer a lot of things that honestly I didn't know about until I started looking into it. I didn't realize they offer scholarship programs, which I actually am going to apply for, I think, if it gets approved. They do like this 2-year program through, I don't know if y'all know Kelsey Davis. She was a part of the league and was killed in a plane crash last
Whoa.
year. They did like a memorial scholarship in her name that's specifically for people like me that want to grow in leadership. And so I'm probably going to apply for that. But when I was looking through it, there's tons of things that's out there that I didn't know about. There's what was it called? A leadership college, I think, through them. There's the Emerging Leaders Academy through you guys.
Mhm.
There's a ton of options that just take advantage of it. And I just think the more you know, the more you know, and the
Yeah.
more you can prepare. And it will help you to be a better leader, which will in turn grow your team. Like if you're a terrible leader, your team's not going to be good and they're not
Yeah.
going to have good production. So it's kind of a win-win. Like the better leader you are, the better your team is going to perform, in my opinion, the more the credit union has the ability to grow and serve more people. So it's kind of a snowball effect. Like you actually matter and your role does matter.
Man, that's a great. So what I'm hearing you end off with is say yes, talk to your league or your leadership and find opportunities.
Mhm.
And I'm also hearing you say it's worth investing in yourself. A lot of people think, no, 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 I need to do these operational tasks and make sure we get through the end of the day. But what you're saying is if you develop yourself, you're going to develop your team, which means you make a bigger impact.
Yep.
Man, thank you so much for being here, Melanie. I appreciate this. You've given us a lot of things to think about, and I know this is going to inspire current and aspiring leaders.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Wow.
That was so good. And first, Melanie. Oh man, I'm glad we had her on the podcast. That was crazy, man. She talked about bugs. She talked about winning, charging to winning. What did
Mhm.
you get out of that podcast, Mr. Andely?
Yeah, what I want to do is I want us to take some of the things she said and point it back to our trainings. Some of the stuff's from emerging leaders, but honestly, some of the stuff she talks about even goes into our other trainings, maybe Vertex or Service Excellence. So the first thing is filling in that blank that I told listeners to listen out for is don't tell yourself no if it's within the realm of reason. Don't tell yourself no to anything reasonable. She talked about how this gave her awesome opportunities, life experiences, traveling, seeing Taylor Swift, not seeing Morgan Wallen, but also how that same mindset has really led her to a lot of growth in her company that's helped her serve her team better. That was a really big takeaway that I was like, man, for both personal and professional life, if it's within the realm of reason. Albrecht, what about you? What was something that you really walked away with?
Her journey seemed a lot like the journeys we've heard other people say. I did not think I was going to stay at the credit union. It was a stepping stone. I was getting a marketing degree from Troy University, and then I wound up applying for a marketing job, and I didn't get the marketing job. And then I ended up in consumer loan sales as an individual contributor. And then I got promoted to a supervisor, and then I got promoted to a manager. And so there's so many people that I meet in my journey at ServiStar that have that same kind of path forward. And it just kind of gives us all an insight, if we allow it to. That person who's just there to get through college might be your next consumer loan manager. What are you doing to develop them right now so that they're not in the seat wondering, is there an emerging leader academy coming up? You've already worked with them. You've already kind of grown them in that role. So leaders aren't born, they're made. Start making your leaders today with Emerging Leader Academy.
Wow, that is such a great point. Is you never know who's going to be the extremely loyal, consistent person, and be proactive in serving them. In tandem with this, I think the biggest thing I'm walking away with today, Albrecht, that she talked about was when she specifically talked about consumer lending. And she said, in our line of work, what I wrote down was loans, we're in the business of loans and things can go bad. And she talks about this idea of risk tolerance, which is, dare I say, is an ambiguous field in our industry because we want everything defined, know exactly what the answer is, but sometimes we don't know. I love the point she made of you could have someone with a perfect credit score and they could lose a job and everything changes. And just like that is, all right, we can't be scared to do something. We can't be scared to give them a loan. We got to think about what lives out our mission, whether it's in consumer lending or whether it's developing people I have on my team. Yeah, someone could leave. Someone could go to another department. But what can I do? I need to have some risk tolerance and think, man, what would be the reward if I did develop these people? Albrecht, what else do you have to say before we let our listeners go?
I think you filled in the blank. I think the key word there was don't be scared.
Don't be.
To listen to the next episode of the Credit Union Leadership Podcast. So follow, subscribe, like, all the things, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Credit Union Leadership Podcast.
Interested in submitting a question to the Credit Union Leadership Podcast, we want to hear from you. Go in our show notes. We have a link over there, and in that link, it's going to take you to two options. You can submit a question written out through email, or you can submit an audio recording through SpeakPipe. We make it super easy. Go to the link in the show notes, click audio recording. Once you click audio recording, it's going to take you straight to a website where you just press the record button. You've got 90 seconds to submit a question or submit you catching doing somebody do it right. And then you just type in your name and email address, and that's it. It comes straight to us, and we'll take it from there. So you don't need to download anything. You don't need to get any new software. You just go to this website, press record, and click submit, and we're good to go. So go to the link in the show notes. Click if you want to submit a question written out or through audio, and we'll take it from there. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time. Hey, we are on YouTube. We've got video podcasts. So click the link in the show notes. Watch our YouTube video. We're working on how to get videos on Spotify and iTunes, Apple Music, things like that. But what we've learned is that people are 80% more likely to remember something if there's a visual associated with it. So watch our video podcast, comment, let us know how we can be better. Let us be part of your journey. Thank you so much.
An investment in leadership is one that pays dividends in your others. I'm Scott Albrecht, guest on the Credit Union Leadership Podcast and Vice President of Learning and Development. And man, oh man, our upcoming Emerging Leaders course is something that I didn't get as a department manager over several departments in the credit union movement. And the average manager in America doesn't go to manager training until they've been a manager for 10 years on average. We send the average teller to 2 to 3 weeks of teller training. And yet, as a manager, we just give them the keys to the Jeep and we tell them not to break it. Drive it like you stole it. Maybe even prayers and our best thoughts are with you, but no management training. And so ServiStar Consulting is here to fill that void with our Emerging Leaders class, where your talent will get topics like effective mentorship, building trust, coaching for performance, leadership hacks, and many more. Join us at our next upcoming cohort. We've got 2 that launch every year. We're so excited about having your talent at the next Emerging Leaders cohort.